Today, I want to share with you perhaps the most important step of becoming an intuitive eater, and that's honoring your hunger. This is the most important step because it's the first actionable step. Number one, first, you unlearn all your diet mentality, and then you actually start becoming an intuitive eater. But here's the problem: a lot of the times, if you've been following diets or if you're an emotional eater, you don't know what real honoring your hunger feels like. When you think about hunger, it's like a chaotic noise. There's no patterns in there. And without any patterns, without any confidence in yourself, in your hunger, you just won't be able to walk and progress along the intuitive eating journey. That's because hunger sets the stage for fullness, and fullness sets the stage for emotional satisfaction with food. And emotional satisfaction with food sets the stage to end emotional eating. And all of these are intertwined with body image and self love. And that's how we can be free of obsessions, free of all these weird cravings. We can have confidence around food and just love ourselves for who we are and achieve a level of health um, that we might not even have expected. And I say health in your personal way. You might have a unique taste preference, you might have a unique body shape, you might have a unique genetic blueprint. Whatever the case is, this is not a narrow definition of health, but you will be very surprised about how you become more drawn to healthier foods as you to healthier foods for you as you become an intuitive eater. Now, back to this first step, because I'm in this green room right now. If you're listening to the podcast, you can go to the YouTube video channel, Weight Loss Enlightenment, but I'm in this green room right now. Why am I in this green room? Well, every Saturday and every Tuesday at 12 p.m., this is the conference room in the library. I'll actually just twist the video around so you can see. I hang out here every Tuesday and Saturday. It's just a free intro workshop to intuitive eating. And last Saturday, we had a couple people show up, and they were all about intuitive eating. I love their passion. I just freaking love it. It's awesome. But they started sharing, they were stuck on the first step, the first actionable step. So technically, the first step is learning about intuitive eating. It's learning that diets don't work. It's learning that diets harm you. If you constantly think about food, if you are worrying about food, if you are trying to hide your food behaviors, like you are afraid to eat so much with your friends because you're afraid you're going to binge eat and be embarrassed, these are signs that you're in diet thinking. And so the first step is to realize you're in diet thinking. You don't have to have a fearful relationship with food. You really, really can get over those cravings. And that's when your eyes open. That's an enlightenment, so to speak. But after you get enlightened, you're going to have a whole journey of enlightenments. And part of this journey is realizing that you can honor your hunger. It's really important that you honor your hunger. Intuitive eating, it's intuitive. So it's all about your body's intuition, that we have this intuition because we evolved over millions of years. Our ancestors, the ones that didn't have good intuition about food, about survival, they're dead, okay? They didn't pass on their genes. We don't have their genes. We have the genes of survivors. And survivors had a good intuition about when to eat, when to go hunting, how much food to eat. And when we tap into our body's wisdom, we can unlock doors of well-being and enlightenments that we would never have expected. But part of your body's intuition is hunger. Hunger you can think of as not as some crazy, chaotic force. It might feel like that, especially in the beginning of the intuitive eating journey. It might feel like that, but really your hunger is a biological force that's evolved over millions of years, and it's part of who you are. It's an energy force that flows through you daily. How many times a day do you get hungry? Right? At least a couple times a day, if not much more than that. Now, if we're trying to fight our hunger, right? Karate chop! We're trying to fight our hunger like a karate enemy. We're going to be at war with ourselves. This is what diet mentality tries to teach us, right? Lose weight, fight your hunger, resist the cravings. That works for a certain period of time. Sure, you do lose weight, but then you can't win the war in the long run. It's a silly proposition. The weight comes back and you start losing confidence in yourself. And for many people, they just don't know about intuitive eating. They don't know about the alternative. And so when we start to listen to our hunger, it might feel like there's a war going on. In case of in the example of the person who was sitting across from me last weekend, it wasn't so much a war, but maybe like like a EDM concert. If you've never been to an EDM concert and have never heard of, there's all this noise, and so when he starts listening to his hunger, it's just, it's not so much of a enemy type of feeling. Although some people I've worked with do feel intrinsically that their hunger is the enemy, but this person is more, I'd say, disconnected. When you turn off the TV or you unplug the TV and there's static, bzzz, it's more like that. It's more like there's nothing to listen to. When he says honor your hunger, part of honoring means learning to listen to your hunger. Because your hunger is going to say things. And so if you can't listen to your hunger, it's going to be hard for you to honor your hunger. Honoring your hunger, kind of like your hunger will talk to you. And if you don't know how to listen to your hunger, if you don't know how to tune into your hunger, if you don't know how to feel your hunger, you're not going to be able to act in ways that honor your hunger. So the first step of intuitive eating is honoring your hunger. And oftentimes, very common, there's a static problem. There's a disconnect. There's a war going on. And we can't hear the messages of intuitive eating, of our hunger. And so I'm going to go through 3 different things that I kind of reviewed with this guy, and and then I'll give you a practical exercise that you can do on your own. The first step, we just did a little guided meditation and had him actually start listening to his belly hunger. This was an important distinction. Number 2, first you listen, but then you listen to your belly hunger. This is important because your belly hunger sometimes gets confused with your head hunger. So, for example, the guy who walked in, I said, "Are you hungry?" And he said, "Yeah, I just saw a poster of a Philly cheesesteak. And now I have all these images in my head. My mouth is salivating. I'm even imagining the smells of the Philly cheesesteak. And so, all these things, the smells, the sights, the images, the saliva, that's all in your head. So head hunger is different than belly hunger. So first we listen, but we listen to our belly hunger. That's one of the most important steps to making sense out of all this noise. There can be so much noise and chaos, especially when we don't know the difference between head hunger versus belly hunger. So it's almost like you tune out the head hunger. Easier said than done, but you'll get better at it as you practice. So the first step is you begin to listen to your belly hunger, and you begin to listen. And how do you listen to your belly hunger? Well, there's sensations. So that was the third step I helped this guy with. We had him place his hands on his belly and say, "Oh, do you feel your hands on your belly?" And he said, "Yeah, I feel my hands on his belly, on my belly." And then, do you feel the warmth of your hands? Do you feel the pressure of your hands? Yep. And then, what do you feel underneath the hands? What do you feel in your belly? Do you feel emptiness? Do you feel growling? Is there gurgling? Is there pressure? Is there fullness? Is there neutrality? Is there space? So your belly emits physical sensations, and your job in honoring your hunger is to stay connected to those physical sensations in your belly, and to disregard, not entirely disregard, but at least distinguish between head hunger and belly hunger. Because head hunger oftentimes is what we call a craving. It's what happens when you just ate a meal and you're physically full, your belly is full. You walk by, you see an image, let's say you're at work and you walk by the front desk or the break room, and let's say there's donuts, right? All of a sudden, you're not even hungry. You weren't even thinking about food, but then all of a sudden, mouth water, you see the donuts, you smell them, you just want them. And if you pay attention to that, where the energy is of that desire, it's usually in your head. And so when you can tell, when you know, like, your head hunger is usually a craving, and cravings they're not honoring your hunger. Your hunger comes from your belly. So it's almost like cravings are a false voice, a false prophet, a false energy. They're false. They're an illusion. In weight loss enlightenment, what this whole thing is about, it's about shining light. It's about seeing through the illusion of dieting, and also the illusion of these cravings. These cravings are disguised as hunger, but they're not. There's ways you can tell. There's ways you can identify a craving for what it is, which is a false sign of hunger. It's the diet world that's trying to give you all these cravings so you buy their products. And cravings don't, when you act on cravings, you end up feeling bloated, you end up feeling terrible about yourself, you have guilt. And so it's really, really important that you can hear the messages of your belly and you're aware when messages are coming from your head. And that way you have a choice. Instead of just being chaotically overwhelmed by your hunger, you can start to say, oh, here's all these noises of hunger. Previously, it used to sound like static, but now I'm able to hear my belly hunger. I'm able to hear the static that's coming from my head, and I'm able to listen to the real voice of hunger in my belly. And what will happen after you do this is that the doors are going to open. The intuitive eating pathway is going to become much more open. The second step, and now this can be tough for some people. That's okay. What you got to do is just every time you eat, and yes, I do mean every time you eat, don't be rigid about it. It's okay if you miss a few meals. You don't make this a perfectionistic standard. But what you do is to get in touch with your hunger is, if you struggle with your hunger, is before you eat, just write down, and this does mean writing. It does mean writing because you need a physical log. You can get your phone, you can get a piece of paper, you can get a notepad. I recommend a notepad. Doing some physical writing takes 2 seconds. All you do is before you eat, you quickly notice, you write down some sensations. You try to rate your hunger. Is it really intense? Is it moderately intense? Is there no hunger? Is there some hunger? You try to understand where you are, and you don't want to judge yourself in this time period. Maybe you do find yourself eating when you're not hungry. That's okay. You just want to start understanding your hunger, and the more entries you record with your hunger, you're going to be able to discern when you're actually hungry. So for example, maybe like there's 3 entries. The first entry you say, okay, I'm about to eat a brownie and I'm feeling some gurgling in my stomach. And I'm going to say my hunger is at a 5 out of 10. It's not too hungry. There's some gurgles and I'm going to have a brownie. Beautiful. Maybe you're not quite sure, you don't have to get everything perfect. Remember, don't make this a perfectionistic exercise. The second, let's say your next meal during the day is let's just say it's tons of pasta. And let's say that brownie you ate earlier is actually making you full. So it's made you full. So your hunger is very low. So your hunger, when it's low, maybe there's just a little empty space feeling, and you start eating all this pasta. Now, even if you're not hungry, that's fine. You don't want to judge yourself at this stage. Let's say you have this craving or whatever, you're eating pasta. So you write down, okay, I'm not very hungry, but I'm eating all this pasta. Not hungry, feels like a little space. And then no judgment, no guilt. The next meal, third meal of the day, maybe all that pasta totally filled you up. And so now you're not hungry again. You have that little signs of hunger, maybe a little emptiness, maybe a little gurgle. You say, oh, I'm not very hungry. And this time, maybe you just eat very little. Maybe you just have like an apple or something. And by going through these meals like that, you're just going to get a sense. You're going to be able to say, oh, when I ate all that pasta, when I wasn't very hungry, I felt like crap afterwards. I felt like so bloated, so full. My mind started instantly guilt tripping me, causing me all this shame. It threw me out for the entire day. And so I really got to honor my hunger. If I'm not very hungry, if I'm at a minor hunger, I got to listen to it. I got to honor it. And that's how we can begin to progress on this intuitive eating journey. Lastly, we're just going to wind this up right now. If there's any questions, of course, email me, Jared, Jared, at weightlossenlightenment.com. And I'm introducing a $20 a month membership. There's a 2-week free trial. I am so stoked to be offering this. if you are curious about intuitive eating, if you want to learn intuitive eating, there's twice a month group coaching, there's online learning modules, there's an exclusive forum, and there's so much other cool things that are going on in this little membership forum that I'm so excited about. To get there, it's just weightlossenlightenment.com/membership. There's a 2-week free trial, and then just $20 a month. It's a one-click cancel, so you can just try it out and learn intuitive eating. You know, when you're getting into this whole thing, you know that diets don't work, but you might not be sure about intuitive eating. And this is meant to be a soft landing into intuitive eating, something where you can begin to explore and meet other people who are in the community. With that being said, thank you so much. You rock. And I hope to see you here, Santa Clara, Northside Library, 12 p.m., Tuesday, Saturday. Let me know. Holler. Peace out.